You don't really get life until you wake up feeling like you're in a movie every day. That's I'm thinking about that quote and I'm just like, yeah. That's basically true, bro. Because I don't think anybody understands it the way I understand it. Like I push for that type of life without even knowing it. You know what I mean? And it just happened to me. So I can't really call it my own idea because I was tripping out the whole time. And while I was tripping out, I was thinking to myself, I was like, okay, so how am I going to pay these bills? What am I going to do? What are my next steps? What job am I going to find next? I quit my job with no plan whatsoever. Absolutely no plan. So it's not like I was quitting my job and then the next thing was ready for me. And then I was just like, all right, let's do this. So I quit my job. And then the next thing that was staring me in the face is drug dealing. So I was like, all right, I'm going to focus on dealing as much as possible. I'm going to focus on that. And I'm going to see if I can get anywhere with it. If I can make a life out of it. And most people would be like, that is absolutely crazy. But if you watch The Big Bang Theory and you pay attention to this one episode where Penny is trying to figure out her life, and she asks Sheldon, she's like, is it dumb for her to quit waitressing at Cheesecake Factory and focus on trying to get an acting job? Is it smart to stop something and focus completely on something even though you might not get it? And she's like, yo, you probably think I'm dumb. And he's like, no, I don't think you're dumb. That's actually pretty smart. That's what a smart person would do. And she's like, what, really? And I'm sitting here thinking to myself, like, would I ever give anybody that advice to be like, yo, just drop everything and focus on your dream? Because that's what they did in Big Bang Theory. And she didn't get her dream at the end. What she got was a better paying job, but it could have went left or right. You know what I mean? Like this could have went really good or really bad. So I know what I'm thinking. I'm like, how did it go for me? It went really bad. Like at first it went really, really good. Like uh I started focusing on just getting a job that I can do whatever I want to with it. Like I was stuck, bro. I don't know how else to explain this because I was not happy with the job that I got afterwards. So I quit Costco and I was like, let me focus on my dream. Let me focus on my dream. And I focused on my dream and then I got sick. And then after I got sick, the steady job that I got afterwards was like delivering for people, delivering food for people. And I actually enjoyed that. You know what I mean? So the next job that I got after getting sick was a delivery job. And that delivery job didn't pay well. Like it paid like crap. So I was sitting here thinking to myself, like, okay, if this job pays like this, what am I gonna do? And it was far away, and you got to remember that I wasn't in the right state of mind, so I was just guessing at this point. I was really just guessing, and I was shooting blanks and stuff like that, and I took that job and I was like, okay, I'd rather do something like this than anything else. You know what I mean? I'd rather drive around and do what I need to do. But unfortunately, I was sick and I didn't like realize this. I didn't know that I had to take medication. And then after that, Like I got jobs here and there, and I kept on getting fired from those jobs. And then I went to I got on medication, and then everything started steadying out. Everything started to plateau, and I started working at Amazon. And I was working at Amazon, and I hated it. Absolutely hated it. But the thing was, all I had to do was work twice a week, and I was going to college at the same time. So I was focusing on that, and I was like, all right, 2 days a week, not that bad. I was doing 10 hours a day. That was bad. Like, my thought process wasn't working the way that it should have, because I took such a long break from I took such a long break from what's it called? Working, that I should have had a more complete idea about what I wanted to do. You know what I mean? So the problem that can come with that is that you can get very desperate. And that's the problem with focusing on one thing and, blanking out everything else, because when that thing doesn't work out for you, you're like, oh my gosh, now I really need a job. I really need a job. Where am I going to find a job? You get anything that you can get your hands on. And it doesn't like clock for you that you just took a year off from working. Why can't you wait an extra month to get something that you really want? Why can't you? But like when you do that, you have to keep your horizon clear. You can't just be like, all right, I only want this job. You have to have multiple jobs in your head where you're going to be like, all right, if this doesn't work out, then I'm going to do this. If that doesn't work out, then I'm going to do this. Have a plan, really talk to people, really see what's out there, and then go and, you know, go and do what you need to do, quit that job, and then just focus on that. Um, it's just time, really. It's time is a factor in it. And time really kills thought processes, because time makes you jittery. Time makes you jump at things that shouldn't be jumped at. And that's exactly what happened to me. So then I worked at Amazon, and then I was just like, all right, now I want to move out. And I was just like, let me go and get a higher paying position. I went for the higher paying position, and that was hell for me. Like, it was terrible. I think that Amazon is just a terrible place to work at. Like, I just got the short stick when I pulled that one. Um, I was desperate for a job. I was looking for anybody that would hire me. And instead of taking my time and going to a supermarket like Walmart or something like that, instead of doing that, I forced myself to go in and go into a warehouse job, something that I completely disliked for a very long time. Like, I hate warehouse jobs. Like, I've worked at Wayfair, I've worked at Amazon, I've worked at UPS, and all of those jobs were backbreaking work, and it really makes you upset. Like, absolutely upset. Like, you don't want to do it. So then, you know, life started taking the reins. You know what I mean? Like, really to the point where I didn't have to think too much. Basically, I put my wish out into the world, out into the universe, and it started coming back to me. It was like, all right, you really want to do this? And I'm like, yeah, of course I want to do this. Like, this is my dream. I can't do something that I hate for the rest of my life. Like, it needs to be something that I truly enjoy. So when I was 18, 19, The first thing it did was like, all right, do you like Costco? And I'm like, I guess I like Costco. And it's like, all right, well, within Costco, you're going to get the opportunity to work as a pharmacy technician. That means more responsibility. You don't get higher pay, but you get better hours. You're not working at night or anything like that. You might be working in the morning to stock the shelves. But after that, this is just a test run to show you what typically happens when a person wants more from life. They pick up more responsibility and they're happier like that. So when I did pharmacy technician, I wasn't happy whatsoever. I was just like, this is mad work. But I felt like I was doing more. And life is like looking at me like, you're doing more, but you're getting paid the same amount. Are you sure this is what you want? And I'm sitting here like, nah, I'm not sure if this is what I want. I feel like I'm just working harder. And it's like, yeah, you are. We're just working harder. That's what most people run into when they think to themselves like, oh, I want a better job. I want more responsibility. I want more money. That's typically what happens to a person. They're like, all right, you want more money, so let's see how this works. And after that, I lost the job as a pharmacy technician and I started working as a gas station attendant. And gas station was much better. It was like less responsibility, but you get paid the same amount. So it was like, all right, you get less responsibility, you get paid the same amount. How does this work out for you? And I'm just sitting here like, yeah, bro, this definitely works out a little bit better for me. Because when you're in the pharmacy, like it's just more hectic. And like you feel like you get pushed to do more, to do things that require more responsibility. And I really wish I was like one of those people that didn't surmount to those type of things, that didn't jump when they were told to jump. And that's basically what I felt like I was doing. It was like I just felt like I was jumping just because somebody was saying for me to jump. um so I was working at the gas station. I'm like, all right, this is a little better. This is a little better. And then I started wanting less time at work. I was like, I want more free time. I want to, you know, have more time to myself. And it's like, all right, so you want free time, right? All right. So we're going to check this out. And the first job that I started looking at after I quit Costco, because, I went from gas station to pushing carts and I was like, pushing carts is hard, bro. And it's like, all right, you don't want to do that, but you're doing it for 16 hours a week. Is that good? I'm like, yeah, that's much better. That's much better. Like I'm not working there for as long. Like either I work 2 days at 8 hours, 8 hours a day, or I work 4 days, 4 hours each day. 4 times 4 equals 16 hours. I was working 16 hours. So it was like, do you like this? I'm like, yeah, yeah, this is much better. And then I started going in and I started having schizophrenia. And unfortunately, like when that happened, I wasn't in my right state of mind. So all my decisions were like really messed up. So I'm like, all right, well, now I don't want to work at all. And it's like, all right, you don't want to work at all. Okay. And I go in and I quit Costco. And I'm just like, what now? And it's like, all right, now it's time to start dreaming because you have an apartment that you have to pay for and a car that you have to pay for and a motorcycle that you have to pay for. Like, what are you going to do without a job? And I'm like, all right, I'm going to use my credit cards. It's like, all right, cool. And I was going to find a different job. I was always on the job hunt. You know what I mean? Like, even though Costco was the best paying job out there, I could have been well off at Costco, very well off at Costco. Um, so I'm sitting there in my apartment. I'm like, what am I supposed to do? And the one thing that was staring me in the face was drug dealing. And I was just like, I want to become a drug dealer. It's like through all this messed up things that are happening to you right at this moment, the things that you don't even know what's happening to you, like you're very sick at this point in time. And the one thing that you're like, you want to do is drug dealing. And drug dealing was easy enough that I could do that job and not feel like I had to quit or something like that. It wasn't like I was doing it and I was just like, I want to quit. I want to quit. No, it was just like, I want to sell more. I want to sell more. And, this thing is very illegal. You know what I mean? Like, you're not supposed to be doing this. So I'm just sitting here telling myself, I'm like, yo, I want to sell more. I want to sell more. And that was the interesting thing about it. And, the universe is looking at you like, you're not quitting. You don't want to quit. And it's like, no, I don't want to quit. And it's like, you don't want to go back home and stop doing it. I was on a high though. So it was just like, no, I don't want to go back home. I want to sell more. I want to do more. And it's like, all right. So this kid wants to be a drug dealer. So let's let him be a drug dealer. And I'm doing that for months, like just months on end. And then it gets to a point where I can't even sell weed anymore because I started doing other drugs and I started having episodes, really bad episodes, where it's just like I can't even walk, like problems out the asshole. Like you wouldn't even guess. Like you would be like, bro, I think you broke life. Like I think you hacked it or something like that. Like something's wrong. And unfortunately, it's not like I was hacking life or anything like that. I was simply sick. So I'm sitting here thinking to myself, I'm like, I'm hacking life, but really you're really severely sick and you're about to go off the deep end. And I'm just like, all right, whatever. And then like after that, I went back home and then I started looking for work. And then the one job that I got was the delivery driver. And I'm like, all right, cool. I'm delivering food and shit like that. This I'm back to where I started in the beginning of the story. And then I started doing odd jobs. I worked at, what's it called? It's called I'm thinking to myself, I know what it's called. It's a handyman job where you're fixing up furniture. So I'm doing that and I'm like, one day I do it for 24 hours straight and I build up all the beds in the warehouse. And the guy comes back and he's like, you pushed me up a week. And I was sitting here looking at him like, bro, I just worked 24 hours. I don't know what to say. I pushed you up a week. Well, you should be happy. Like, you should be freaking happy. I pushed you up a week and I was getting paid like $10 an hour. Minimum wage was still $7.50 at that time. Minimum wage doubled in New Jersey. That was crazy. But yeah, like I was working odd jobs and stuff like that. And then, you can see it building up. You know what I mean? But wait, back when I was drug dealing, me and my friends, we were trying to find me a job and nobody knew what was wrong with me. Everybody was just staring at me, just like, what's wrong with that dude? And it's like, bro, I don't even know what's wrong with me. Like, I can't figure this out. And it was a mental health thing. And that's what killed me. That's what ended my reign. Like, it was just like, bro, nobody can help you unless you can help yourself. If you can't figure out the problem, that means somebody else has to figure out the problem for you. And these people are not good problem solvers. Like, They're running through their own problems. So everybody is truly, truly distracted. And that's the big thing about mental illness. It's like you just need people that are a little bit more focused, that are a little bit happier in life, because then they can point out things that are wrong with you. Um, so like the problem was I was never going to get help. You know what I mean? Like I was in this state of mind where it's just like I don't need any help. I don't ever need any help. Like if I'm sick, then I'm supposed to be sick, and uh wait, if I'm sick, I'm not sick. That's what was in my head. I'm like, I'm not sick, bro. There's nothing wrong with me. Um I'm living life the way I want to live it, you know. That's basically it. And my mom tried to help so much. She called the police on me at one point. And I was just like, yo, this is ridiculous. But oddly enough, that would have helped. You know what I mean? But if we had, I see ways that this could have been combated if we had doctors that were doing in-house visits. You know what I mean? Like that might have helped. That could have helped. But instead, in order to get guardianship over you, they give you in-house doctors and they give you assessments. Now, if that had happened for me this other way, where it's just like, all right, this doctor is going to come visit you and we're going to see if we can help you. And it's like, what if you become combative? All right, there's a way to do that. They would literally do a wellness check. Now, the problem with that is that you probably would get the kid in trouble because what they're doing, and they're doing drugs. So for me, if they did a wellness check, they would have checked the house after they did the wellness check. And then I would have gotten caught because there was a quarter pound to a pound in my room. And that was illegal as F. Very illegal. So I'm just sitting here thinking to myself, like, how can you help people? And the problem is the police just escalates things. That's the problem with police. Like they escalate things. They don't allow you to live. You know what I mean? But they would have found a pound in my room and I would have went to jail. Absolutely. Absolutely would have went to jail. I would have been doing some time. And is that helpful? You know what I mean? Like adding insult to injury. Um, they would have saw that I had a pound in my room, but they would have also said that, oh, he has a mental illness, so we can't put him in jail for a long period of time. My time would have been shortened, but I would have went to jail for it. And would that have helped out my specific case? Absolutely not, because I was combative with the medication. Like I didn't want to take the medication. And, like I'm looking back in my life and I'm like, would anything have helped to take the medication? Like the medication got me scared because I almost committed suicide with it. So I was like, oh, it's the medication's fault. Like, this is why I'm not taking medication because I almost died from it. And it created more problems for me. So I was like, I'm not gonna take the medication. Like I was just so confused, man. So confused. And even to this day, I bet you everybody's surprised that I bounced back because the doctors have overseen me and they've even said, they were like, yo, bro, I don't think this kid is going to bounce back. They were like, I don't think this kid is going to bounce back, bro. And I'm just sitting here looking at myself like, I didn't think that I would bounce back either because I was deep in it, deep in psychosis. It was like being asleep while awake. Like somebody else takes over your life and they're just running it. And you are just taking a back seat and you're just like, bro, I'm tired. When are we going to get home? Type of thing. Like it was really, really bad. But anyway, I finally started taking medication after like that whole debacle with not taking medication, and I felt like complete shit. But I didn't tell anybody. I didn't say anything. I didn't voice my opinions. It's like I don't think this is working out too well for me. Um, so I started working at Amazon, and I started overworking myself. I was going to Amazon and I was going back to college, and I started doing online classes to finish my degree. And I am just overworking myself. Like there was something very clearly wrong with what I was doing, but everybody was sitting there clapping me on. They're like, oh yeah, you're getting your degree. This is why I hate people. Like, especially my parents. Like, this is the only thing they think in their head is just like, oh, if you go to college, everything will be fine for you. And everybody can do college. It doesn't matter who you are. You can be a peasant. You can be a king. You can be a freaking middle class person. And all you have to do is go to college and life will be set for you. And it's just like, bro, that is not how college works. Like, do you realize how difficult college is? College is very difficult. And it brings stress in your life. It does. And that stress can either be reciprocated or not. And most times it's not reciprocated. And especially for a person that has mental illness to be doing a job that requires you to be very much stressed out is not very good for you. It's not very good for you whatsoever. So I was sitting there, I was overworking myself. I'm doing class. I'm doing two days a week at work. Terrible idea. Always space out the amount of time that you work. Um, if you have to work 40 hours, do it in 5 days. Uh, if they offer 6 days, I wouldn't do 6 days. All right, they don't offer 6 days. Okay, let's just not make this difficult because I'm making this difficult. I'm explaining this in a difficult way. If you have 40 hours, do it in 5 days. Don't do it in 4 days. That's very stressful for you. You need to space it out as much as possible. There are people that can work, and I'm saying this, there are people that can work 2 jobs, but these people are not thinking. They don't think whatsoever. Their mood is always off. You know, things are just always going bad for them. But they do it because they feel like, society says that all you have to do is work hard, all you need is more money, and you'll be set. Like, nobody thinks to themselves, like, if I just if I just planned it out a little bit better, then I could make this work. Because I was doing the same thing, like I said. But let's get to that point. So I was doing Amazon. I was doing college at the same time. I graduated college. I'm still working at Amazon. I'm on this medication for a year and a half. The whole year and a half, I feel like shit. I'm like, yo, bro, I'm not getting any better. Like, I'm not getting any better. And then I finally get off the medication and I run away. Now I'm in this apartment, and I was like, all right, let's try to work Amazon. Let's try to make, with the amount of money that I make from Amazon, I can pay for this apartment very easily. in 2 weeks, I make $500 a week. In 2 weeks, I make $1,000. I pay for everything that I need to pay for. But then I'm thinking to my head, I'm like, but I cannot work the rest of the month. I was just sitting here thinking to myself, I'm like, if I do this, if I work for this long, I'm going to need some type of break. 2 days is not a break. And the way people make you think is that, like, okay, you have your necessities, like just combine your necessities. How much do you need to work to meet your necessities? Right. And this is what this society does to you. This is what this species does. They're like, all right, look at your necessities. Now you need more than that to be happy. And everybody's like, yeah, yeah, yeah. All I need is my necessities. And so they're paying off their rent, they're paying off their life insurance, their 401k, their health insurance, they're paying their groceries, they're doing all of this within 2 to 3 weeks. 2 to 3 weeks, they're doing all of that. And then they work an extra week or an extra 2 weeks. And you're wondering to yourself, like you're asking yourself, like, if you were an alien, right? If you were an alien, you were looking at these people and you were like, okay, so he just paid off his rent. He paid off everything, his bills, his debts, credit cards, car insurance, car note. He just paid that off in 2 weeks, right? And it's like, yeah, yeah, they paid off in 2 weeks. Why is he still working? Like, why is he still working for 2 extra weeks? Shouldn't that be time off? And it's like, oh no, you need a little extra money just in case, something happens in the house. You need to save. So you need 2 weeks of savings. And it's like, yeah, you need 2 weeks of savings. It's like, but that person's not even saving for 2 weeks. And it's like, yeah, probably not. They're probably doing something else with it. And it's just like, okay. So they're working 2 extra weeks or 1 extra week for absolutely nothing. Like it just disappears into the cosmos. And it's like, yeah, it just disappears. Like they're stressed out, so they take it out on their money. And this is where we get this bad relationship with money, because money doesn't really make sense to us. It's like, why do I work these 2 weeks and I pay everything that I need to pay? Then I work an extra 2 weeks and I'm still behind on bills. Because after paying all these bills and stuff like that, you work beyond your means. So they push you. You see that 2 weeks of pay open and they push you. They're like, so why don't you get a house? Instead of getting a trailer and living within your means, they get a house. And now they are working 4 weeks and they are using all 4 weeks of pay. And it's just like, oh my gosh, dude, why would you do that to yourself? Who wants to work that long? And it's just like, well, I'm already doing it, so I might as well max out my means. That's what a lot of people do. That's what a lot of people do, bro. So I'm sitting here thinking to myself, I'm like, bro, that's like not even necessary. Like that is so unnecessary. That's crazy talk. That is absolutely crazy talk. So I'm working at Amazon and I quit Amazon because I couldn't do it. I was so depressed. Like I was off my medication and the depression was hitting me hard. It was just like, bro, I don't like this job. I really, truly don't like this job. Get me out of this job. And luckily, before I quit Amazon, I started working for Instacart. And Instacart was doing a promotion. They were like, okay, you can make $600 if you do 25 deliveries, right? It was a promotion. Like it was a banging promotion. And I was like, okay, I'm going to do it. So in between my time of working at Amazon, I was working Instacart. I did the 25 deliveries within 2 weeks. Didn't even think about it. Wasn't even a thought process. You know, I didn't think about it as a real job. I didn't look at it as something that can be very real. And I was on my medication, and this medication, it's like, for some reason, people don't think. There's no other way to say it. There's no other way to put it. People do not think. And it rubs off on everybody else, especially when it comes to working. When it comes to working, people do not think. They just look at the amount of money that they make. And once they look at money, they completely ignore everything else. And it's just like, you can't do that though, bro. You need to be able to focus on multiple things at once. And it's just like, no, I'm not going to focus on multiple things. So it's like, all right, fine. Because I see it. You see it everywhere. You see it everywhere. These people are just unhappy, but they're doing a job and they're saying that they're happy. And it's just like, you don't know what happiness is because it was never given to you. You were always working your whole life. You were constantly working your whole life. Like in Haiti, for example, like you would think like, oh, okay, your dad didn't go to school, so was he happier? He had to work since he was a child. Like it was child labor. So he's never taken he's never had time off to just literally think. We think that we're giving kids time to think, but instead, by the time that they start remembering their memories, by the time that they start remembering, you put them in school. You give them a job to do because the parent is tired of taking care of the kid. The parent has to go to work. You know, they need somewhere for their kid to be safe and sound. And where they put them safe and sound, like they're learning. And learning is a job. You know what I mean? And people don't see it like that. They're like, you're learning, that's not work. But the way that we learn is work because it's very tiring and you don't want to do it. And you just have to do it. It's one of these things that are required of you to do. So you're sitting there, you're doing it. You're not happy. So you've been doing this your whole life, since you can remember, since you could start remembering, that's what you've been doing. And they're like, you had a 5-year break. It's like, bro, that wasn't a break. I don't even remember it. I don't remember that 5-year break. Does anybody remember their 5-year break? I don't remember my shit. And did I get anything from it? No, I was so small that my mind was still processing things and nothing was really making sense because it's not like I was receiving money for those 5 years. It was just like all I was doing was eating and hanging out with my parents. And sometimes I hang out with friends and it was a weird time. You know what I mean? Like it was very weird. Like it wasn't cool. It was just weird. The way that we have this life set up for us is so weird. Like we see that we only live up to 75 years old and we're just like work the whole time then. It's like, what? And it's like, no, you have like 10 years off at the end. No, you don't. Because you can't even live normally without working. So they give us this retirement age. And really the retirement age is for people that are extremely rich. Excuse me. I mean, I'm sitting here thinking to myself, I'm just like, yo, this is absolutely crazy. So anyway, I did Instacart and I was working at Amazon and I was just like, I hate Amazon. I'm like, God, I can't do this, bro. I completely forget about Instacart. Completely forget about it. I don't look at it as something that can give me money. I don't see it as that. You know what I mean? I truly don't see it as that. I'm getting paid $21 an hour at Amazon, and that's all that I can see. And then I'm like, I'm about to get fired from Amazon regardless because I can't keep up with the quota. Because they're like, if the supervisor has to talk to you 6 times, then you're fired. And the supervisor already talked to me twice because I was going too slow. And I'm sitting here like, bro, my knees are about to blow up. Like they're about to break down. What do you mean I'm not doing well enough? You know what I mean? So I'm sitting here dying at this job. And then finally I'm talking to myself because there's nobody else to talk to. It's just like nobody would understand what I'm going through except for myself. Like nobody feels what I'm going through. Like if I was to tell my dad, if I was to be like, I don't feel like going to work, he'll be like, what do you mean you don't feel like going to work? Everybody has to go to work. They would give the same answer everybody else would give. You know what I mean? Like they would just say, whatever, dude, just work. Just stick through it. And it's just like, but I don't feel like working at this company. Nobody would be like, all right, how about you just take some time off and think about it? Think about where you can work at. So I'm sitting there looking at myself. I'm like, I don't want to go to work. I don't want to go to Amazon. I don't want to work there anymore. Like it's too hard. And I'm not happy. I'm not happy whatsoever. So schizophrenia is like breaching the fourth wall. You know what I mean? You are able to really feel the world that you're in. It's like when I'm off medication, it's like I'm breaching the fourth wall. There's no other way to explain it. It's just like there's just something there, this film over this world that I can tear away. And tearing away the film is like, if you were in your right state of mind, it works out very well for you. Like you think outside the box, you think very much outside the box. But scary things can happen when you're off the medication. That's the basic problem with schizophrenia. It's just like you can do some really bad things with schizophrenia. But I'm sitting here looking at myself I'm like, yo, I don't feel like working here. I don't feel like working here. So I quit. And then within a week's time, I'm just sitting here thinking to myself, I'm like, what can I do for money? Like my money's going to run out soon. I'm in this apartment. There's no other way for me to do this. Um, how can I figure this out? And I didn't quit Amazon until I stopped talking to my parents. Because I was talking to my parents, my siblings, we were talking, and I'm sitting here, I'm like, they're like, how's the new apartment? I'm like, the apartment's good, the apartment's good. I'm talking to them at like 4 a.m. in the morning and stuff like that. And then I stopped talking to them altogether. And then I quit Amazon. And then I was looking around and I was like, what can I do for money? I need money. And I was like, Instacart. And I was like, oh, okay. Okay. I did make a lot of money off of Instacart. Started working Instacart, started doing 12-hour shifts. And I'm just sitting here like, yo, I'm making money. And I'm barely trying. That was the big thing. It's like I was barely trying to make money. It was just so easy. It was so simple. Like you would do 2 deliveries within an hour. That's like talking to 2 people in an hour and that's it. Like you don't have a supervisor on your back. It was just mind opening. And it was just like, oh my gosh, I'm having so much fun just making this money. Like I could work 12-hour shifts and not really think about it. Now, the 12-hour shifts were taking a toll on my body, of course. Like I was very, very tired. Um, but I can get up and I can do it over and over again. But then it got to the point where it's just like, all right, this is fun and all, but I do not want to work 12-hour shifts. So I started looking at my money and I was just like, hold on, hold on. How much money are you making? And if I was working 12-hour shifts 5 days a week, I don't know what I was doing. That's how much fun I was having. Like, that's how dumb I became. And I was just like 5 days a week, 12 hours a day. I'm doing the American dream. This is what everybody talks about. You know what I mean? Like, so 5 hours a day, 12, 12 hours a day, 5 days a week. That's about 60 hours. That's 60 hours a week. That's 20 hours over 40-hour limit. So I'm working overtime. I'm like, my mom works 80 hours a week, or she works like 70 hours a week. She works 2 full-time jobs. So I'm sitting here thinking to myself, I'm like, bro, I'm living the American dream. I'm doing it. I'm doing it. I'm doing it. And then I'm thinking to myself, like, bro, I can't do this anymore. Like, I'm like, bro, I can't do this anymore. I started thinking outside the box. I was just like, how much money do I need? I took a day off because you can take any day off. You can work anytime you want, except for nighttime, overnight. There's no overnight. There is no overnight. That is how a job should be. That is respecting your workers. That's just it. Nobody works overnight on Instacart. Nobody works overnight on Uber. Nobody works overnight on TaskRabbit. You do not do that. Well, maybe for TaskRabbit, but nobody would. Why would you do that to yourself? Like, it's your choice. But I'm sitting here like, okay, I'm making, how much money am I making? Just to give myself an idea. Let's see if I can pull up the calculator real quick. So you make about $17 an hour at TaskRabbit. Multiply that by 60 hours. I was making $1,020 a week. I didn't do this for too long, though. I'm not gonna lie. I didn't do it for too long. Maybe for 3 weeks. Maybe it was for a month. Maybe at the very least. So I'm making $1,000 a week. I'm making this much money a week. And I look at how much money I'm getting, and I'm just like, bro, for some reason, I am still not, I still don't have a lot of money. Like, it's just like, it's still going somewhere. Where is this money going? Like, it makes no sense. I'm sitting here thinking to myself, I'm like, bro, this doesn't make no sense. Maybe I didn't work that many hours. Maybe I worked 4 days a week, 12 hours a day. Because that would mean 48 hours instead of 60 hours. But I was definitely working 12-hour days for a bit. Maybe I was doing it 3 days a week. Maybe that's what I did. So 36 hours. But I was sitting there, I was thinking to myself, I'm like, bro, I still don't have money. And I guess I don't need that much money. I really don't need that much money. And I'm just thinking to myself, I'm like, all right. So what can I do? I have everything that I want. I have my apartment. I have my car. I have free time. I can bring any girl over that I want. So let me cut back on these hours. So I started cutting back on hours. And I was like, how much money do I need a month? I broke it down like that. It was $600 for rent, $600 for rent. My debt that I was paying was about $200. And then my insurance, my car insurance was like $120. So I'm like, all I need is $920 to pay for everything that needs to be paid for. That's my phone bill, debts, credit cards, uh, what's the 120? Car insurance. I was paying for that and my gasoline and everything. So I came out to about $1,000. And then for groceries, I added another $80. So all I needed was like $1,080. So I'm like, all right, so how many hours do I need to work to pay all this stuff off? Divided that by 17 hours. Like I actually sat down and I did the math, I was so proud of myself. Like nobody does that. Nobody thinks. Nobody was really thinking. Like they're just going. They're just going, going, going. And people do that for their whole lives. And it's very scary. So I'm like, all right, how many hours do I need to work? $1,080 divided by $17 an hour is 63 hours. So 63 hours divided by 4. That's how I did it. Bro, I was trying to remember. I was like, bro, how many hours was I working? Because I wasn't working a lot of hours. I kept asking myself, I'm like, how many hours were you working, bro? So I broke it down like that. It came out to 16 hours. All I needed to do was work about 16 hours a week. So we come back to this whole Costco working limited part-time. I reset, my life resets. So I'm just sitting here like, okay, all I need to do is work 16 hours. So I started working 16 hours. I was like, bro, I don't need to work anymore. So I was like, all right, so let's break this down. How much money do I need weekly? So 16 hours a week, how much money did I need weekly? Times $17. I need about $270 a week to live my life. I'm just sitting here like, okay, let me work $270. I started making $270 a week, and I'm just sitting here like, yo, this is awesome. Because I cut away the money, the need for money, the constant need for money. I cut that away from my life. And I very much focus on the essentials. And if I needed some money to go out, bro, all I need to do is work a little bit extra. Like how much money? Let's say I need to go out to eat. I need an extra $100. So 10 hours, an extra 10 hours will give you $170. An extra 10 hours. So I can work an extra 10 hours a week, like 16 hours, 26 hours. That would be about that 30-hour mark, that part-time mark. So I was like, if I do need money, then I'll do it. But if I don't need money, I don't need to do it. And I was at a point where it's just like, all I need is essentials. I don't care about anything else. I don't hang out with my friends or anything like that. I don't need that type of money. So I just broke it down. I was just like, all right, all I need is $270 a week and I'm set. I pay for everything. I pay for my rent. I pay for my debts. I pay for car insurance. I pay for food. I pay everything that needs to be paid for. I'm done. I was working 15 hours a week, bro. 16 hours a week. I reset my life, literally reset everything. And I came back to this. So I did that and I was just like, all right, this is cool. I started doing that for a little bit. And I was just like, can I make more money? You know, we're always money hungry. Um, Mine was psychosis induced hungry. So I was just like, all right, let me see if I could work somewhere else. Let's see if I could do this. So I was just having fun with work at this point. If I was in my right state of mind, I would be working just that 16 hours a week. And I could have just worked Instacart the whole time and not have worried about anything else. But then I was like, let's see where else I can work at. I checked in on Uber. Uber was, they had their like weekly promotions, and all you have to do is say yes to every, you know, say yes to every delivery and you make mad money from them. So I'm working Uber. I'm not sure how much I was making. I have to double check. I wish I kept more of a I wish I kept more of a paper trail. Find out how much you were making at Uber, because it's so heart wrenching. Like the way everything got pulled away from me, it was so heart wrenching. Like I couldn't do anything about it. You know what I mean? Like everything that got pulled from me. But now I fast forward. You know, looking at other jobs. I was looking at Uber. I started working for Uber. Then I found TaskRabbit, and I was just like, wow, this seems pretty daunting. It was a daunting task. It was just like, maybe I shouldn't do this. Then I thought to myself, I was like, this is building furniture. And I was just like, all right, I think I could build furniture. I kept telling myself, I was like, no, you can't. You can't build furniture. I don't know what I'm doing. I'm scared to do it. I'm scared to do it. Like, if I was in my right mind, I would have never have done it. Never, ever. I would have been just in this mindset of like, I have to work here. I have to work here. Let me just focus on working here. So I started working for TaskRabbit. I started making a lot of money. I started making a lot of money. Time versus value, TaskRabbit wins every single time. Wins. Time versus value. Your time is more appreciated at TaskRabbit. Absolutely. 100%. There, you can do anything that you want. You can say anything that you want, but I'll tell you this. The time that you invest into TaskRabbit, you get tenfold back. And then I lost everything, basically. I lost everything, all my work, all of it gone. So I'm sitting here like, okay, what am I going to do here? Then I finally get back home and I'm sitting here looking for jobs. I can't even do jobs. Like it was really bad, and I was combating my medication and stuff like that. And it was just a really bad time. It was just a really bad time. And then and then I applied for disability because I was telling myself, I was like, Bro, I don't think I can work. Like I'm telling you, I was really thinking outside the box, like thinking ways that most people wouldn't think. Like disability was so far back in people's minds. Like nobody was thinking about disability. They first thought of guardianship. I'm like, bro, why don't you get me money? Like, you're the only person that will ever look out for yourself. Like, it's very scary to say. It's a very scary thing because you'll have family, you'll have friends, you'll have coworkers, you'll have bosses, you'll have all of that. And nobody is looking out for you more than yourself. Absolutely. Absolutely. So I was sitting there, I was like, you know what? I don't think I can work. I really don't think I can work. So I started filling out for disability all by myself because I asked my mom, I was like, what about disability? And she was like, you can't get disability. And I was like, oh, okay. And in the back of my mind, I was like, I'm still going to try to get it though. I'm still going to try to get it. My sister, Belinda, who is she's a nurse. She's a freaking nurse at this point in time, a nurse. Not once did she think of getting disability for me. Not once. Crazy, absolutely crazy. I'm just sitting here like, okay. Other sister is a teacher. Not once did she mention disability. Nobody mentions disability. So I'm like, all right, whatever. I'm not gonna get this disability. And I'm sitting here like, what do I do now? Because I know that I can't work and I'm just like still trying to work and it's not working out for me. Then they finally get me on the medication. You know, their thought process was once we get them on medication, then we can do everything else. But nobody was looking out for my financial well being. You know what I mean? That was the last thing on their mind. So I filled out for disability. And then, like a year later, my sister finally says, after she gets guardianship over me, she finally says, she's like, okay. First, she was like, I want you to go to a group home. And I was just like, what the fuck are you talking about? Like, what do you mean group home? I'm like, why would you send me there? Why would you do that to me? She's like, oh, it's a good idea. And it's like, what is, and she got everybody else on it. And Dana was like, oh yeah, you know, group homes are not bad. I'm like, who put that BS in your mind? Like, you really think that group homes is okay? You don't even know what a group home is, do you? Do you realize that you don't even get your cell phone in group homes? You know how many allegations of like rape and molestation happens in, not even rape, it's just like mis misuse of people, definitely molestation and shit like that. But you don't realize how much stuff comes out from that shit and you're like, this is the first place I want you to go. I'm like, you're absolutely ridiculous. So I was sitting there freaking out in front of people. I was telling my therapist, I'm like, yo, bro, I don't want to go to group home. Like, why are you making me go to a group home? I'm sitting here talking to her and I'm like, yo, bro, like, I don't get this. I'm looking for her every day. I'm like, I don't want to go to a group home. Why are you sending me to a group home? And then she finally, after like weeks, she finally tells me, she's like, I don't think they can send you there. And I was like, oh, okay, why not? And she's like, no, that's for people that need it. And you are in a home, you don't need a group home. That's for people that absolutely need it. That's for people that are getting out of the hospital and they need somewhere to go. And the wait list is so long that that you'll never get into it. So I was in there, I was calming down. I was like, all right, cool. Like, what the hell? Who thinks about that? Like, who does that to somebody? So my mom was right when she was like, I'm scared if Belinda was to take care of me because she would send me straight to a group home. And it's like, yeah, now that I look at it, I'm like, yeah, that's exactly what she would do. Not, I'm not like stuttering or anything. I'm just going to look at her. I'm like, she's going to send you to a group home because she's not going to want to take care of you. That's exactly what's on her mind. You're her mother. She doesn't care. If you cause her problems, if she thinks that you're a problem, she's going to send you to wherever wherever she wants to send you. And she's just hoping that insurance will pay for it. If she doesn't have to pay for it, then she will do it. That's what she tried to do to me. I was just like, yo, bro, that's crazy. So I filed for disability. And then about a year and a half to 2 years later, no, a year and a half later, or a year later, my sister was like, okay, now we can try for disability. And then I got disability. I got the disability. And I got a back pay check from when I first applied. So when I first applied, they back paid it all the way till then because they were like, he was never supposed to be denied. Why did they deny him? Because I was doing everything by hand, bro. And I'm telling you, the government will fail you. Absolutely. Absolutely. I'm trying to think of what I should call this video. And I thought of a couple of names that were really good. And I completely forgot them. I completely forgot them, bro. Let me clean up a little bit. Oh, it can't see me. What's good? Yeah, I clean up a little bit, keep it clean. Oh yeah, absolutely though. But like, I have this app that I'm going for, and it's really to help disabled people. Absolutely. Because I feel like, so when YouTube made their stuff and Rumble made their stuff, like what they focused on was too big of a demographic. You know what I mean? Like, what I'm thinking about doing is focusing on disabled people. Mostly disabled people are like people that are missing arms and legs and shit like that. And I'm worried about like a disabled person that lost their mobility from their neck down. But I seen a guy online and he was disabled from the neck down and he was still making videos, bro. The dude was making videos. So I'm sitting here thinking to myself, like, all he has to do, if he likes to edit, because, a lot of people like to edit. If you really like to edit, then what you can do is like, you can record your computer screen and like you go on your computer and then you have the camera right here that's watching you. You're going on your computer and then you could put the computer screen, edit it into the video. Like people like to edit. And I think that this is a really great opportunity for a person to edit their whole day. Like, show me your whole day from start to finish. That's what I want to see. That's what people want to see. And people don't think that anybody wants to see that because they're stuck. They're like, no, they want short. They want entertaining. And it's like, I just want to see that you're a human. That's all I want to see. Like, I want anybody to be able to do this. Anybody. But I just bounced some ideas off with Brianna, and I was just like, she asked me great questions, bro. I was just like, bro, your ideas are awesome. Like I can't do that with any of my friends because if I was to tell May this, I'll be like, I want to create this app. And she'll be like, that's stupid. Like, no, that will never work. Like you have to do it like this. And it's like that's not how you help with ideas, my love. Like the way Brianna did, like I didn't know how a person should act towards another person for their ideas. Brianna just showed me it today. It's like, okay, instead of saying no, think about how to expand on the topic. Instead of automatically being like, no, that's dumb. Because we do it to be funny. You know, a lot of the times we do it to be funny, but like a lot of the times it's just like, no, I really want you to think about this. Have a thought process. What's your thought process about? Every time I tell that story, I get like a little flustered. I'm like, oh my gosh, they really almost sent you to a group home. They really, and there was times where I was in the hospital and they're like, I don't want him to come home. And it's just like, wow, you gave up on me. You literally gave up on me. And I'm supposed to sit here like a little child and let you play with everything else. So that's why I was so happy when I started arguing over the money. Because at first I was just gonna take $600 from my monthly check and then save $500. It's just like, why would you save that much money? What are you saving that much money for? Like, let's be real. Like, who's gonna take care of you for the rest of your life? These people that gave up on you are the ones that are going to have to pay for giving up on you. You know what I mean? Like, literally, they're gonna pay for that for the rest of their lives. That's how it's going to be. That's the May in me coming out and talking, bro. Those people that effing gave up on you are going to pay. Like they're going to have to. You're gonna focus on your dreams, you're gonna focus on everything else while they pay for the rest of their lives. Because they gave up on you. They literally gave up on you. And it's funny because it's like the whole world is doing that, bro. Like people have given up on mental health patients. Like they don't have no patience for them. They just want to put them somewhere and be done with them. They don't want to deal with them. They need professional help. And it's like, why don't you give them an out? Like, why don't you give them an out? Like, especially them out of everyone. Like, you don't give criminals an out. You know, the only out that you give them is like jail. In some states, they will end your life for you. And it's just like, why don't you give me the choice to do that? You know what I mean? Like you're telling me that you cannot fix me. That's what uh that's what these facilities are saying. They're like, we cannot fix you. We cannot help you. You are too far gone. And I know what it feels like to be too far gone. I know what it feels like. It is absolutely crazy. Bro, it's just like you're in a roller coaster and you cannot get off. And then you're just in that roller coaster and you're just like, you know, I'm gonna enjoy this. I'm just gonna enjoy this as best as I can. So you're enjoying the roller coaster, and uh at the very end of that roller coaster, you just have police officers waiting for you. You know what I mean? Like the roller coaster is going to end, but it just keeps going, right? Let's just say it just keeps going. It's going on for 2 hours and you're just like, this is never ending. Like, okay, just going to try to enjoy this. And then at the end of that roller coaster, the police is just waiting for you. And you're just like, crap. Like I didn't do that on purpose. I didn't get on that roller coaster. I just thought it would be a 30-second, a minute ride. And it lasted for 2 hours. I wasn't expecting that. And now that the ride lasted for 2 hours, now everybody's going to be like, okay, you're done. Because you got on that roller coaster for 2 hours. And you're like, I didn't control the roller coaster. Why aren't you arresting the guy that is manning the thing. It's like, well, it went out of control and you stayed on it for 2 hours. So now we think that you need to go away for doing that. And it's just like, what? That's how it feels. That's how mental health feels. That's how it feels, bro. There's no, I'm just a genius right now. I'm just throwing out ideas. I'm just like, yeah, bro, that's so true. Bro. So this whole hemp thingamajiggy, believe it or not, it can go for like 4 hours. What I'm testing it at, because we're at an hour 16 minutes right now, and it's only went down 1 bar. This whole hemp thing, great investment. It's a little expensive, so thanks for the help. Other than that, like, bro, if money wasn't an object right now, if money was not a thing, do I ever believe that we will get past money? Hey man, there's different dimensions that we haven't even touched. We're in the third dimension. Are we in the three? We're 3D, right? Definitely. Like, I'm looking at myself and I'm like, yeah, that's 3D. If the Earth was flat, wouldn't that mean we're in a two-dimensional state? I'm gonna search that up.